Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Cory's Corner. That's right, the wonderful Monday morning here, day after Father's Day. Hope everyone out there had a great Father's Day. And if you haven't seen it yet, go catch the replay of yesterday's Cory's Corner for the Father's Day special over on Rumble. It was a Rumble exclusive. Make sure you're following over there. We do exclusive content that YouTube does not get. Of course, all in the hopes of growing bigger on Rumble. But some small announcements before we get going on anything else. There is a new Ko-Fi campaign going on over on the Talent Ko-Fi. Link is in the pinned chat, is in the chat and in the description. But right now we're looking to get some Boya lapel microphones to help TalksALot Entertainment become more versatile. It'll help us record remotely for Frank Lee's and do interviews and unboxings and stuff and have really great sound to go along with it. Of course, if you can't donate right now, then don't worry about it. But if you can, any amount helps. The total goal is $180 for that, just so we can cover taxes and all that other shit that goes along with it. But that is the current campaign going on right now. So if you want to help out the channel and you want to help us get some more equipment so we can do better content, then go ahead and hit up the Ko-Fi link in the description and in the chat. Any amount helps, and we thank you for it graciously. Joining us today, as usual, I say usual because he's around me every day, but hey, it's Sean from Escaping the Matrix. For those of you who have not subscribed to this man here on Rumble, do so.
Yes, that would be greatly appreciated. Hi, man. How's it going?
I'm great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I got a new video out this morning, so I'm pretty happy with it.
Hell yeah. I'm going to be dropping that link right now in the chats. Brain broke. It's right there. Escaping the Matrix. Ash. Boop. All right. And then there's the Rumble side. So make sure you're following him. He just dropped a very good video, in my opinion, on his political take on Trump. Make sure you check that out over on Rumble side. It is 20 minutes long, and it's very it'll hit close to home no matter who you support. That's for sure, because he punches pretty hard on some things, and I like it. I like people that have the balls to come out here and be like, "Hey, guess what? You fucked up." And he uses some Carlin in there too. That's always great. George Carlin is just like the bomb. To say hello to our chat real quick. Hail to Vince Womack. He says, hey, live in 69 minutes. Nice. Ryan Roger Ave, he says, hi, folks. I hope all is well. I'll be watching, and hopefully Cory has a great show on offer. I'm hoping we do. And hail to the Nate D. It's wonderful to see you, Nate.
Hey, guys.
Gonna be an interesting show. So if you're a 90s kid, you grew up possibly hearing the rumor that artificial sweeteners can give you cancer. But like most things from the 90s, surprise, it's true. So Sean is actually the one, yeah, and way worse than we thought. Sean is actually the one who sent me this, and it intrigued me deeply. First of all, this is not surprising to me that an artificial sweetener can cause massive amounts of health issues. Hail to Sean Estep. Good to see you, bro.
How you doing, man?
Have you ever drank artificial sweeteners and shit like that? Did you ever try those out?
I have, and I have to stress this. I took a few sips and realized no. Now, of course, we were kids of the 90s. You know, kids are kind of stupid, so I didn't know the information I should have known back then. So it was purely on taste for me. And
Right.
it was just disgusting.
It tastes like ass.
It was
It's
horrible.
so bad.
And even back then, I was so aware it was being pushed, as like by the mainstream media, like constantly. You know, the advertisements on TV, even politicians coming out and saying sugar was the devil and you should go artificial, blah blah blah.
Thanks the devil to you, mama.
Yep, and that's the way to a healthy lifestyle is, yeah, by taking the diet stuff, and that's filled with artificial sweeteners. And that was kind of a, I was always, as a kid, I was always kind of self-aware of that stuff. Whenever something's being pushed like that, I'm always like, there's a problem here. So it led me looking up information about artificial sweeteners. Wasn't looking for controversy. I was just looking for information like, what is it made of? Is it just made of alternative um, like substances that you can find in nature, or is it made in a lab? That kind of thing. And then you start falling on the politicians like Donald Rumsfeld. He was the one for pushing out aspartame, which was one of
Mm,
the first big ones in the 90s that was supposed to replace all other sweeteners, and it was supposed to be healthy for you. But the controversy behind that was like pretty much all things that gets pushed out in the medical industry these days is didn't get any testing whatsoever, no long-term studies. It was just pushed out. And then you had a lot of serious health cases crop up after that, and then it went to court. Court case, it was won. It was proven to be damaging to one's health. But instead of banning the stuff, it was just rebranded, and there was payouts to victims. That was pretty much it. Now we've got this new one. I'll let you introduce this,
yeah.
my man.
We'll get there. Real quick, Vince Womack says only use artificial sweetness when I run out of sugar and honey, a real rarity. Well, Vince, you might rethink that after we
Yeah.
talk about this because this shit is crazy. All right. So let's just jump right into the article that we have here. This, of course, is from Science Alert. Me and Sean both did go over the actual study itself. I won't go over it here because it's a lot of medical data and it's a lot of technical shit, but the article does a good job of summing it up. So that's why we're not going to bring up the actual study, but just so everyone is aware, this is in fact a legitimate peer-reviewed study released in the journal of what was that? You know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to click on the study and let's find out. It was in the Journal of Toxicology and Environmental Health. It was published May 29th of 2023. So very, very recent study. Okay. So
And I'm quite anal about the studies as well, which is very important, and where the sources comes from. And from what I can tell, and I'm not being absolute on this, I'm just saying from what I can tell, this seems like a really good, legitimate study that's been over the long term. And it's got great sources, and it seems quite legit. Yeah,
it
man.
does. And it seems like it actually followed true science, not
Proper
the
protocol,
pseudoscience
yeah.
of bullshit. Ryan Roger Arthur says sugar and sweeteners do overclock the body. Very dangerous. This is true, but not why this is a problem. So to start right in, it says this common artificial sweetener can break down DNA, scientists warn. The artificial sweetener sucralose, marketed as Splenda, is widely used and found in products like diet soda and chewing gum. According to a new study, it's also capable of damaging the DNA material inside of our cells. Again, just that right there should make you go, okay, Splenda is not for me.
Yeah, and to couple with, we have to look at, I'm going to refrain from going down a rabbit hole here, but if you couple this with the controversy behind a certain jab that manipulates DNA, it's almost like we're under assault here, like our DNA is under assault. For what purpose? Well, we can only speculate at this point, but the fact that it breaks down your DNA,
Yep.
just it's a bit of an exaggeration, but if you remember from the 1980s RoboCop movie, and you see that guy get doused in that horrible
that chemical shit.
Yeah, it's not too far from that. If you start breaking down DNA, it breaks you down.
Yeah, it literally does.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's at least on par with cancer, if not worse. It will kill you. Yeah,
for sure. So the article continues, as DNA holds the genetic code controlling how our bodies grow and are maintained, that's a serious problem that could lead to multiple health issues. So significant are the researchers' concerns, they are now calling for food standard agencies to review the safety and regulatory status of the sugar substitute. That didn't really help much. Oh well. The technical term for something that breaks down DNA like this is genotoxic, and the study looked specifically at sucralose 6 acetate. This chemical compound is produced when sucralose is ingested and metabolized in the body, as reported in a 2018 study in rats. Again, rats are very common in scientific studies, just one of the things that we do. To put this in context, the European Food Safety Authority has a threshold of toxicological concern for all genotoxic substances at a 0.15 micrograms per person per day. And that's from a biomedical engineer at the North Carolina State University. Our work suggests that the trace amounts of sucralose 6 acetate in a single daily sucralose sweetened drink exceeds that threshold. And that's not even accounting for the amount of sucralose 6 acetate produced as metabolites after people consume the sucralose. In other words, sucralose 6 acetate is already present in the drinks before they are ingested, but even more is produced by our stomachs. Sucralose is actually made from a tweaked version of sucralose 6 acetate, which is synthesized from sucralose sugar. So basically, this stuff already has the carcinogenic stuff in it. And then once you actually ingest it and metabolize it, it makes more of the carcinogenic materials, thus increasing your risk exponentially.
It's your classic chemical reaction. And maybe I should have linked you this as well, because not that long ago, about a month, maybe two tops, I read another study that was also very good. From what I can tell, it was um, backed by hard science. Was that pretty much all artificial sweeteners that you find in diet drinks, whether it's juice, sodas, it actually doesn't help with weight loss at all. It's yeah, that's a myth at this point, which is funny because that was their whole argument for pushing artificial sweeteners was it prevents obesity and blah blah blah.
Right. So Vince Womack says he just dug the sweetener out, and he says, according to this, it says it's made from cyclamat and saccharin. Not familiar with cyclamat, so you might want to just look and see exactly what that is. Saccharin, I think, has been used for quite a while, and we have yet to see if it causes any problems. But just my advice, Vince, is be careful.
Yeah.
Just be careful what you put in you. It's pretty stupid sometimes when you know.
Most things artificial, you've really got to be vigilant
Yeah.
about, I'd say.
For sure.
Yeah.
In the studies, researchers ran a series of lab tests on human blood cells and gut wall tissue to see if the reaction to both sucralose and sucralose 6 acetate compound. Tests were also done on the genetic activity of the gut cells, all using standardized analysis procedures for detecting DNA damage. The tests confirmed that The tests confirmed mechanisms that were genotoxic and clastogenic, which breaks down strands of DNA, as well as showing increases in the expression of genes that are linked to inflammation, oxidative stress, and cancer. What's more is the gut lining was also damaged. They cause what they refer to as leaky gut. If you're not familiar with what that is, that's typically a small hemorrhage of some kind in your stomach lining that can cause stomach acid and other nasty shit to spill out into your system, and you can become, what is that word? Oh yeah, septic. In case you're not familiar with what sepsis is, that's your whole body being infected by bullshit because your blood is dirty, basically, more or less. Basically, they make the wall of the gut more permeable. The chemicals damage the tight junctions or interfaces where cells in the gut wall connect to each other. So that would be the entrance to your stomach, the exit to your stomach, and probably a lot of the sphincters on the way down through. Yes, see septic tank. Um, A leaky gut means a partially digested food and toxins can seep into the bloodstream. It can condition brought in numerous ways and can have subsequent impacts in many different parts of the body.
And we got to remember that the gut is also the core of our immune system as well. So you compromise that, you know.
Indeed. So it says here that regulatory approval may now be reviewed because of these finding concerns. So the reason that this, in my opinion, is such a big deal to confirm that artificial sweetener like Splenda causes these kinds of breakdowns is because a lot of the times we dismiss these things as conspiracy theories. Now, the problem being, of course, that in modern day, conspiracy theories often turn out to be true. And this is another one that turned out to be true. Now, I understand that some people have to use artificial sweeteners in some way because they are diabetic or because they have certain reactive disorders that cause the sugar to behave badly in their systems. But when it comes to artificial sweeteners, make sure you're reading the ingredients. Check out what's actually in the shit. Because if it has sucralose, then the chances are it can cause damage, as we've seen in this. I'm sure Splenda will come up with some way of fixing this. I'd love to see what research says about stevia. Is that what it is? The other
stevia, yeah, that's one of them.
Because if I remember correctly, that's a naturally occurring sugar alternative
that's taken from a plant. Yes.
Okay, but it's highly processed in a similar way to the artificial sweeteners, not like cane sugar or things like that, where the process is pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Vince says, doesn't the gut show signs of problems in the body before it shows signs anywhere else? Depending on the disorder, yes. One of the most common side effects of any illness is an upset stomach. But in some cases, like if you have heart problems and stuff, it'll present more as, teeth pain, nerve pain, stuff like that. But the gut does give you an idea of how healthy you are. And of course, the fact that this also tears down the lining of the stomach walls creates a whole nother issue. We've seen extreme increases in certain things like celiac, which is an allergy to gluten. It's more than an allergy to gluten, but I don't want to get into it right now. And we've seen an uptick in diabetes. We've seen an uptick in various genetic disorders. And I wonder, this is conspiracy zone now, if artificial sweeteners contribute to the mental health issues we're seeing in young people. Because if a pregnant woman uses artificial sweeteners and artificial sweeteners breaks down DNA, then what happens to the baby?
Yeah, they've got warning labels on most products that use artificial sweeteners. Very much be cautious or at least don't use if you're pregnant, actually. Now, that is also a red flag right there. We've also got to remember, because there's a lot of myths surrounding natural sugars. We got to remember fruit has natural sugars, and fruit's good for us. You got to remember, too much of something good is bad for you. And the human body, this is, whether you want to hear this or not, I don't care. It needs a certain amount of natural sugars in it.
It does.
To keep its blood balance at a stable level. Now, again, if you have too much of it, it can lead to medical issues, the gut. There's at least up until this point, we've known that it can lead to at least certain types of diabetes. But I would actually suggest, if I was in a position to, I would actually go back and reassess that, because with this whole development with artificial sweeteners, because it's circumstantial, sure, but it's evidence nonetheless. A lot of these health issues that you mentioned, Cory, plus more, skyrocketed with the introduction of these artificial sweeteners.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at the very least, it's cause for concern to the point where you should go back and look over and see if there's any, ties to whether we can prove or disprove that.
Right.
There's a good amount. There's good enough evidence for uh, for bringing that into effect. But you gotta remember, these are companies. They've got, not only are they backed by politicians, but they also pay off a lot of politicians. There's been court cases here with these companies that have paid off judges. Look it up. So you got to be careful when you tread these waters. You might have, oh, it's all been fixed now. It's like cigarettes. Remember back in the day, cigarettes, yeah, if we remember that, oh, they were good for you, recommended by
Right.
doctors.
9 out of
This
10
isn't
doctors
conspiracy.
recommend
Yeah.
Camel.
Yeah. And it went on for quite a long time. And then, we did proper research, long-term studies. And we found that smoking cigarettes aren't good for you. They're,
Right.
they're not good
Hail
for your
to
health.
Tolbat. How you doing? So Vince says, according to Wikipedia, cyclamate was discovered in 1937 at the University of Illinois by graduate student Michael Sveda. Sveda was working on a lab on the synthesis of an antipyretic drug. That's a drug that controls inflammation, by the way. He put his cigarette down on a lab bench, and when he put it back in his mouth, he discovered the sweet taste of cyclamate. And the Flintstones recommend Winston cigarettes. Yes, they do. Alrighty then. So it was originally designed to be an anti-inflammatory. Well, he was researching anti-inflammatory drugs, and he discovered it from a bench. I don't know if that's really a great idea to put that in your as a sweetener, bro. I know I said this already, but hail to the Tollbat. And NDB 604, hail. He says, interesting. Indeed. By the way, in NDB speak, interesting means what the fuck. Just saying. Most of the time. Yeah, this is crazy. To once again have something from my childhood confirmed as a reality, that artificial sweeteners give you cancer and they can break your DNA. I can't wait to see people try to disprove this on TikTok by drinking 15 to 20 gallons of this shit.
No, by all means, I hope they do. Hey
man, Darwin Awards have to go to somebody.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, on their own stupidity be it, but
for sure,
I'm of course joking. I don't go out of my way to want harm inflicted on anyone. But if they're gonna do that, then I say, have at it. Get that stupidity out the way. Less stupidity in the world is always a good thing.
Yeah, I personally feel that warning labels are holding humanity back. Just saying. Personal opinion on this. I do have another news story to go over. So this one is more along the lines of news of the stupid. We've all had very realistic dreams. Sometimes we'll even wake up and be like, holy shit, I'm still in the dream. And reality gets blurred for a second. But I myself have never drastically injured myself in the process of a dream. How about you, Sean?
No. I've, of course, in the dream, I've experienced injuries. Like I've been shot in a dream, I've been stabbed in a dream, I've fallen off a building in a dream, but I've never actually woke up to an injury from a dream.
Right. And I can't say I have either. I've woken up with mystery wounds, but I just, I attribute that to my own bad luck and the fact that I wear this monster watch 24/7. But Vince Womack says Florida man. And actually, no, he has a contender in Illinois. A sleeping man dreamed someone broke into his home. He fired at the intruder and shot himself.
Okay, wow. Wow, that's pretty creepy.
What? Yeah, what?
Ah,
So, a 62-year-old man is facing firearms charges in
of
Illinois
course
after
it's
authorities.
Illinois.
Yeah, and of course he's facing firearm charges because
Yeah.
having a gun in Illinois makes you a felon. But that's because Illinois is a fucking, in my opinion, it's a Nazi's wet dream.
Yeah.
And I use that term directly. Because there's socialists that run the country, and then there's psychotic Nazi fuckers that run Illinois. They might not be as anti-Semitic as the actual Nazi party, but they're fucking crazy.
Yep.
Just as crazy as any brown shirts you'd see. So, a 62-year-old man is facing firearms charges in Illinois after authorities say he accidentally shot himself in the leg in his sleep, while dreaming that he was defending himself against an intruder in his home. He says, I screwed up my hand when I punched a wall while I was sleeping. Wow. Oh, you shot yourself in your sleep? Okay, now you go to jail. Indeed,
Right.
That's the rules.
uh,
Fucking morons. But here's where things get crazy. Okay, and this is why I'm talking about this. The man used a .357 Magnum that he owned to fire the shot around 9:50 p.m. on April 10th. According to Lake County Sheriff's deputies, on the night of the incident, the man dreamed someone broke into his home and retrieved the gun to shoot whoever was the intruder. Okay. But when he fired the revolver, DeCara shot himself in the leg instead and woke up from the dream. I'd hope you'd wake up after blasting yourself in the leg with a fucking .357. All right. For those of you who are not familiar with guns, a .357 is what I refer to as a fuck you round. Okay?
It's a hand cannon, man.
That tears you up. Like, you're done. Done. All right. Like, Vince says, wonder if he had an out-of-body experience. I'm sure he was shocked back into his body as soon as he pulled that trigger. Tolbat says, I twisted my shoulder because my arm went behind the headboard when I rolled over, messed it up bad. Getting old is hard. I have done similar things.
Same.
I will not lie. I have done similar things, and I 100% agree that getting old sucks.
Diminishing returns.
So, sheriff's deputies responded to the scene after receiving a call reporting a person with a gunshot wound at the residence. They found DeCaro when they arrived, suffering from a gunshot wound into the leg, losing what they described as a significant amount of blood. It's a .357. If you're not losing significant amount of blood, then you didn't actually hit yourself.
Yeah.
Just saying. It was later determined that the round was discharged from his gun, went through his leg, and lodged itself in his bedding, so no one else was harmed. Of course, they applied a tourniquet and sent him to the hospital. So here's where stupid shit happens. NDB says, I have not been injured like that yet. Well, I'd hope not. I hope you don't have any guns and .357s in your room to shoot yourself in the leg with while you're sleeping. I'm just saying. We would have to have a talk. So he was arrested because he did not have a firearms owner's identification card, which is mandatory in Illinois.
Of course it is.
Authorities say that his previous card was revoked, although they did not share the details as to why. Now he's facing 2 charges, which is possession of a firearm without an ID card and reckless discharge of a firearm. Both are considered Class 3 and Class 4 felonies, respectively. NDB says, I might, you don't know. Don't make me come over there, boy. Just saying. Just saying. So Class 3 and Class 4 felonies, in most cases, I'm not familiar with Illinois state law or how it works within the municipalities, but Class 3 and Class 4 felonies are felonies, of course, but they're typically punishable by up to like a year in prison on extreme cases and a very hefty fine. And then, of course, they do go on your record because it's firearms related. This will be on his record forever. Granted, he's in his 60s, so forever might not be a super long time, but it still fucks this man completely out of his Second Amendment rights.
Yeah.
He's never allowed to own a firearm again because he had a bad dream. Granted, some fucking crazy shit, the fact that he can shoot himself while he's sleeping.
I would recommend that he maybe put the firearm in a safer spot so that you might actually have to wake up a bit before you actually are able to have the handgun in your hand loaded.
You'd think.
How? Yeah, I mean, I will admit that, there are some interesting things that can happen usually. The sleepwalking, you can be semi-conscious and still in a dreamlike state. And plus his age as well, the older you get, the
Yeah,
worse.
you hear that, toxic man flu? You hear that, toxic man flu? You're old, okay? No more guns for you. The 2A does not apply to you because you're old.
This is coming right off of I don't know if you've heard about it yet, but you will. There's been another mass shooting
Every
that
day.
happened yesterday over in Illinois.
Every
I
fucking
think it
day
was
I see
Chicago.
reports.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. So, I.
And I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to, first of all, start this out with saying, fuck you, YouTube. I'm going to speak my mind. Before we get there, Vince says, don't keep it under your pillow.
No.
This is true. Never keep it. I don't care if it's a single action. Under your pillow is a bad idea. Yep. But anyway, so here it is, okay? The Second Amendment is for everybody, okay? Everybody. I don't give a fuck what your background is. But the only problem I have with the Second Amendment is that it's open for interpretation, okay? And again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. If we amend the Second Amendment to state or just remove the militia portion to where it states that for the protection of a free society, it is best to have everybody have guns, that would clear up all of the gray area in interpretation. It would literally just state you're allowed to have guns. Congratulations. Secondly, sorry, brain's breaking because of this. 20 shot in Juneteenth celebration. Wow. Oh, hail to the 32 flavors of Nick Weiser. How you doing, buddy? It's good to see you here. We're talking about all kinds of crazy shit. In case you missed it, you can go back and watch. We talked about artificial sweetener that destroys your DNA, and now a man who shot himself in the leg with the 357 while he was asleep. And of course, he went to jail because of that, because he's in Illinois. Just quick recap, the Second Amendment doesn't exist in Illinois, even though it should. But you guys really want to know how to stop gun violence almost completely? This is a shocking revelation. Arm everyone. Nobody fucks around if they know they can find out.
No, right? Yeah, if if someone's armed, you're less likely to be mugged, raped, robbed if you know that person is armed. It's common sense. Holy shit! This was the whole reason the United States was to have a militia so that they would defend themselves from any foreign force. It's also one of the core principles of anarchy as well, to be able to defend yourself from it's that simple. Now I'm not, it's very easy to take that at face value, and so of course you need training in firearms, of course, but just go on down to the shooting range. There are people there that are willing to do that for you, and as long as you're, again, we touched upon this yesterday, with responsibility, as long as you're a responsible human being. But period, it is a right. It is a moral right. It is a natural right to be able to defend yourself, period. End of story. And if it's not via firearms, you'll do it through other means: knives, sharp sticks, rocks. Ever since the dawn of man,
your good old mitts, ladies and gentlemen.
So, this whole idea, this argument that guns are bad, guns kill people. No. People kill people. It's, don't blame the tool.
Yeah.
You can get
So
people can intentionally kill people with cars and trucks. And Lord, we're going to ban those. It's just it
yeah,
amuses me that this is Illinois because they got regulations up the ass. And if history has taught us anything, it's those places that have the most regulations on something is usually the ones that get affected by that something. Who'd have thought?
indeed. So Vince says that's why, since its enactment, around 95% of mass shooting happen in gun-free zones. Shocker, because they know that there's no one there to defend themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And NDB 604, he says, then it would be more common to get into a Mexican standoff if everyone had a gun. Yes and no. The biggest thing you have to remember in today's society is the moment someone pulls a gun, anyone else who has a gun will pull it too and put that person down.
Yep.
We don't offer warning shots. We don't stand there in tense situations. We fire. Okay. I am going to say this one time and one time only. The Kyle Rittenhouse method. Defend yourself vigorously and with many, many headshots. Bang, bang, you're dead. 50 bullets through the head. Bang, bang. But seriously, though, it's crazy that this man shot himself in the leg while he was asleep. But the real issue here is that he's going to jail for it.
Yeah, it's wrong on so many levels. It's just another sign of how twisted the the word escapes me. The justice system is. Thank you.
Justice.
Quote unquote. Yeah, I'm embarrassed to even say it's the very opposite of justice, in my opinion. And if you look up the definition, you could actually say that's fact.
Whose definition? Oh my gosh.
Oh
It's my
gosh, here we
truth that
go. Yeah, you
matters.
see, you can't even say that anymore without
oh my
it kicking
gosh.
off.
Whose truth
Then we
are
have
we
to amend the
discussing?
definition. We have to change the definition.
Yeah,
It
we got to
happens all
change
the
the
time.
words. If we don't change the
No?
words, then people won't understand.
2023.
Yes, hello and welcome to modern age, where you go to jail if you accidentally shoot yourself,
And get fined up the
where
ass.
your diet soda will give you Huntington's disease.
Mm-hmm.
That previous statement is not validated, by the way. Hail to John Edgar. He says, sorry, I'm late. Sounds like I got in during a great gun chat. You did indeed.
Indeed.
If you want to do a quick scroll back and check out the story about the man shot himself in his sleep and went to jail over it, feel free. But honestly, like here in Colorado, this gun control bullshit is a big deal. And my hearts go out to anyone who is a victim or a family of a victim of a mass shooting. My heart does. But the realism of it all, hail to XRL7.
Hey there.
Good to see you, Mike. The reality of it all is if we are more well armed, this will happen less.
Yep.
And that's something that the fucktards on the opposing side of the aisle, as I'll put it right now, they don't understand. They think that if you take all of the guns away, things will get better because obviously it worked in the UK. Obviously, it worked in Germany in the 1930s. Obviously, it worked great
in
for
Australia.
Yeah, Australia, dude. That was a success story, bro. Pure success down in Australia.
This is sarcasm, by the way. If you're not picking up, this is sarcasm. Seriously. Holy shit.
See, and Tolbat shares a very common story, as it does with me as well. None of the guns I lost in that boat accident ever hurt anyone. I agree. R.I.P. to the guns lost in that boating accident.
Nick brings up a really good point too. If you want to read that afterwards,
we will get there for sure. Vince Womack says, "Heard the Gov is still going after the couple that defended their property during the
oh man,
BLM and Antifa protest. I won't say that word because it'll get me in trouble. But and Nick Weiser says, yeah, it worked well in Prohibition. Yeah, nobody ever got drunk during that time period.
This is what I mean. Illinois should have learned its fucking lesson.
Right?
Fuck.
And here in Colorado, there was recently a sit-in to try and ban guns in Colorado. Okay.
Oof.
John Edgar says Ted Kennedy's car killed more anyone than all the guns I own ever has. Yeah, this is true facts.
Yeah.
Illinois is not capable of learning from everything. They'll never learn because it's all Chicago politics, regardless of whether you're in Chicago or not. Chicago politics is Illinois politics. But here in Colorado, they had a sit-in where they wanted to ban all guns in Colorado, right? And they're like, yeah, our super liberal governor, Mr. Polis himself, was like, they're telling him to ban guns. All right. Hail, No Green Rocks. How you doing, bro?
Hail, man. I just wanted to come join you. I finished off another stream and thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to hang out with you, Cory.
Hell yeah. Great to have you here, bro.
I don't think I've met you before.
Sean,
hey there.
This is No Green Rocks. No Green Rocks, Sean.
That's good to see you, man.
Nice to meet you, mate.
So as another Coloradan, you might be aware of this, what I'm talking about right now, but there was a sit-in at the state capitol about ending gun ownership in Colorado, pushing everything to just stop, right? And they were asking Polis, who's a governor, to literally sign into law that all guns are illegal. And of course, Polis would love to do this. He, not to disparage his sexual orientation, but he's a cock gobbler. All right. This man is a fucking cocksucker, and not in the way that actually indicates that he's gay. He sucks the cock of the establishment. He guzzles it down hardcore.
Isn't he buddies with Gavin Newsom?
Newsom? Yeah, dude, those guys are butt buddies out there.
Says it all.
It's fucking crazy. But so Polis came out and literally told them, guess what? I can't fucking do that. The most liberal motherfucker in Colorado is all like, hey, guess what? I can't do that. I can't just openly change Colorado Constitution or the U.S. Constitution. So whatever. And you know how many people were left hours after he said that? 3 people who suffered from enough delusion to think that they could actually get rid of guns in Colorado stayed there for like fucking 12 hours or 3 days or however long they fucking sat there. I stopped caring after it was like Polis was like, you guys are dumb. But this is the kind of thought pattern that goes through people's mind, is that a governor can come in and just stop anything.
Well, I specifically moved here for the gun freedoms. So if anything were to happen and they were to say no, I mean, I live in an area that's basically the sheriffs won't enact anything. They're not going to mess around with the Constitution.
Yeah. And
well, that's what we have to rely on, people pushing back like that.
The local municipalities can override any gubernatorial decision as long as they have the backing of their constituents. I know that's hard to believe and hard to understand for a lot of people, but it's true. Governors only have the power that the people give them. There's a reason they used to lynch governors. By the way, YouTube, I'm not saying that's what we should do. Just saying that happened in the past. In the meantime, hail to Small Time Republic. He says, I'm waiting for Gun Barrel, Colorado to be named something less offensive. Good luck. Gun Barrel is a very small, that's not going to happen.
Now, that's not to say, I don't have proper training and everything, if you get any type of weapon, go get some training.
Exactly.
That's definitely what I recommend. It's not a toy. So, be smart about it and get something that you're comfortable with, that you're trained with, and that you use. I'm in no means like a gun tuber. I just, know some weapons better than others because life experience has taught me that.
Yeah. On that note, I will come out and say that if you're a big, strong man, you don't need a fucking Desert Eagle. Get yourself a nice Glock 19. A Glock 19 is amazing. You get the tactical package on it with the rails. You're set, baby. I like the tactical package. A lot of people don't. I do. But hail to Bush McFadden. He says, Abbott just signed a bill allowing teachers to protect themselves. Nice. That's awesome. I'm glad that someone is standing up for the rights of teachers to protect themselves. I just hope that the teachers that indeed do protect themselves don't decide to be stupid ass motherfuckers.
Because that's what it
someone.
all. Yeah, it's all
Always
about
someone.
responsibility training. And we can make it work.
Yeah. So Tolbat says, look up Hurricane Katrina gun grab and say the Constitution matters. You better stand up and say no and be ready to die. Every day of my fucking life, I'm ready for that fight, bro.
Without fail.
Oh no, I'm not ready to die. I'll do everything to live.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point. Is I'm defending myself, but I am not afraid to die in the fight for my freedoms.
Yeah,
and that's where most people have giant pussy tattooed on their forehead. Is the fact that like I want my rights, but no, you can't hurt me over them.
No,
the moment they take them away from you, they're going to hurt you. That's exactly it.
Got to conquer that fear.
That's the definition of bravery is to be afraid and do it anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Do what needs to be done in the face of fear.
Yep.
The men on the poster behind No Green Rocks used to be a perfect example of that. Superman, Spider-Man, all of these guys would legit stand up and do what was right, even if they were scared.
That's what made them superheroes.
Yep.
That's what made them so inspiring. Remember that? When we had heroes to be inspired by that pushed us, that drove us, that we used to have.
Brightest day.
This is why I value Hal Jordan over every single other superhero, because he teaches you that the willpower to overcome fear is the most powerful thing that you can possess in your life. And, Hal Jordan does become afraid, but he doesn't let it stop him. He sees it and he pushes through. The true heart of bravery lives in Hal Jordan, and that's what I want to embody in my life. Yes, that's some nerdy shit to say I'm embodying a superhero trait, but guess what? That's our fucking community, so suck it up.
I don't think I think it's a perfectly reasonable thing to do, right? People talk about their sports stars, and do you see how this sports star did this, and that? I want to be like that. There's no difference between that and the superheroes. It's just a different genre of liking things. Like people can list the stats of fucking Shaquille O'Neal in the 90s, but nerds can list every superpower in the DC or Marvel universe. There's no difference to me.
Well, it's like pre-Disney Luke Skywalker. The amount, the fact that he would rather die than betray who he was and betray his family. Back in Return of the Jedi was such a powerful moment. That shows us like there that quote unquote fictional characters have had more of an effect than most real people have ever done in their entire lives, and that means that makes them more real, if you will, than some real people. And there's a reason we've seen there's not many left, to be honest, that haven't been mutilated and bastardized. Why we've seen all our heroes be mutilated, manipulated, and turned into something opposite to who they were. And we need to push back. We need to remember what inspired us. It's where, if it's not for that, if it's not for us to do that, it's over. It's game over. And not to sound dramatic, but we are at that point. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Vince Womack says, did you choose Hal because previous Green Lanterns could be beat by a number 2 pencil? No, but it's definitely a bonus that he's not weak to wood.
Hal Jordan is the perfect example of a Green Lantern.
Yes. And
there was nobody else. It's like Obi-Wan Kenobi being the best Jedi example in existence. Same thing for Hal Jordan. I mean, he does kind of lose his way a little bit.
Sometimes.
But then he comes back. Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things that I love about hero arcs is they will occasionally show that these heroes are flawed. They have issues. They come out and they talk about the fact that, Superman has a lot of issues. Superman, when he in his younger days, depending on the storylines that you're following, he lacks a lot of confidence issues, even though he's the strongest, fastest man in the entire universe. Of course, that is subject to debate depending on what comics you read, but
interpretations.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, Superman has a lot of flaws, and they're human flaws. They make him connectable. And that's one of the things that we love about our superheroes. but Superman, in all intents and purposes, would be classified as perfect.
This is actually why I have this. I don't know if it can be read, but it says people are illogical, unreasonable, and self-centered. Love them anyway. Do good anyway. Succeed anyway. Basically, this is kind of the way Superman thinks.
Yep.
Just because there's crap out there doesn't mean that you can't be the best you that there is. So this is why I like the Superman mentality.
That's what made
it
Superman
hope.
Superman to me. It wasn't his superpowers; it was what he stood for, what he, his perspectives in life, his emotional state. That's what made him super. To me,
Yep. And it goes back to something Comics Division often says. It's the struggles and the flaws that a character has that can make us connect with them more so than any of their abilities. Any of like, oh my gosh, he's undefeatable. Undefeatable is boring.
Yep.
Perfect, unflawed, flawless little bastards are boring. We don't want that, and it doesn't connect with us. If you look at Spider-Man as an example of all of this, Peter Parker's not perfect.
Okay.
No,
Peter.
No. That's the whole point. He was
Yeah.
written it to be you, me,
Yep.
some dork who loves science, but the rest of his life is kind of a mess.
Bush McFadden says this all goes back to the media. They demand people see grooming teachers and abusive parents as the heroes, or LeBron James telling you black kids to run if they see a cop. This is true, and he is a hero according to the media.
See, the problem is everybody nowadays wants to be the person that changes history. I want to be this hero for this, section of the world. People just don't try and do the good out there to earn that. They say, I'm going to be the hero and this is what I'm going to do. They don't do the action first. And then people are like, well, dude, you're kind of a hero. You're my hero for doing this and that. People who are real heroes don't really look at themselves like they're heroes before they go out there.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's driven by ego and narcissism more so than actually just wanting to do the right thing.
It is.
You'll notice a lot of people throughout history that just went out and did the right thing. They had no interest in being leaders. They didn't want the attention. They just wanted to do the right thing, stand up for what's morally right.
Yep. And now it's 100% about the attention you get for being a champion of a cause. And I got news for every person in the entire world. None of that makes you a hero. None of that makes you admirable unless you follow through. It's great that you stand up for the rights of what are supposedly oppressed people.
It comes from
how
a good
you
place.
do so. Yeah. How you do so speaks way more than what you're trying to accomplish. Because if you think that doing good is burning down local shops and fucking up your local infrastructure, you're not a hero. You're the fucking villain. If you think that the best thing for people is that you force a gender ideology on them and you're fighting for trans rights and all this other shit, and you think kids should have their cocks chopped off, or you think women should have double mastectomies to have a flat chest, you're a villain. Okay.
Yep, you are a huge part of the fucking problem.
Yeah. One of the most defining characteristics about a hero or a good guy is allowing other people to exist while trying to pass on proper morality, which is do no harm. Do no harm is the only moral standing that a hero should really have.
Yep.
If you're doing good and it causes harm, the good is negated. I know that's kind of a big step, especially when you're talking about, like, if you could apply that to Superman, for instance, and he destroys a shitload of stuff, and therefore he's technically not doing good. But he didn't destroy the planet. He saves the planet. He's a good guy. There's gray lines and stuff like that. But in reality, those gray lines aren't as thick as people like to think. Like, people think that the gray area encompasses all. It doesn't. There is a very clear-cut black and white between good and bad. And that all depends on intent to do harm.
I think it has to do also a lot with upbringing. My family grew up very religious, so like certain morals that you have are ingrained in you as a young child. But if you don't have that kind of background, I'm not saying all of them, but some of the morals you will be missing because you're not going from a perspective of, okay, as a child, I had these rules. I'm going to use them as an adult as well, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying everybody needs to be religious, but, you know, there needs to be some kind of
Well,
parental supervision and everything like that at the end of the day.
Well, there is that. And when it comes down to the religious portion of it, I don't really give a fuck if you're religious or faithful or whatever, but there are certain ethical guidelines, let's say, within religion that are universally applicable. You know, like murder is bad, stealing is wrong, you probably shouldn't fuck your wife's sister, you know, things like that. You know, they're universally applicable to any society. You know, vigilantism is a problem because of legal morals. But back in the day,
legal
people
morals and
used to be
natural
able,
morals are different.
yeah,
Man.
people used to be able to stand up for themselves and stand up for the little guys and stuff like that without huge legal ramifications like we do these days. But anyway,
that is a problem these days. Is a lot of people confuse. I don't even want to call them morals because they're not legal morals, if you will, which is what they're classed as, and natural morals.
Societal.
Because also a lot of people confuse that. Oh, morality came from religion. No, it didn't. It came from the natural human experience. Feeling what is wrong. When you're in balance with nature, you can feel what is morally right and morally wrong. And what is that? Do no harm. It's not. It doesn't just experience human beings that experience that as well. You know, look, going out to feed yourself, for example, when an animal kills another, you know, to feed itself, that is not morally wrong. That is different. A lot of people will get into that argument, and we'll get, you know, again with the gray areas. You see, it can lead to, and I think people should have this discussion. Absolutely. The more attention that's brought to this, the better, I feel, because we need to be reminded of morality a lot more these days, because just look at what's happening. It's a destruction and mutilation of morality. You know, when you bring law into it, legality, a lot of people will just say, if it's the law, that is what's right, blah, blah, blah. No. Some things that are brought into law can be morally wrong more often than not.
Everybody go follow Ryan Roger Athey's
definitely do.
YouTube. Great guy. And
do indeed. He does do some great content as well. I hope you have a great day as well, Ryan. Stay safe out there and keep pumping out those videos. Congratulations on 1,600. I think you just hit. Yeah. So congratulations on that, bro. I got to touch on this real quick from Vince Womack. He says, now do the Punisher. The ethics and morals behind the Punisher and the engagement behind the Punisher actually goes towards the anti-hero
That's
makeup.
also Marvel.
Yeah. So the anti-hero makeup and why we're so attracted to them is because they're doing things that we normally wouldn't morally approve of to achieve goals that we do morally approve of in ways that we as people would not normally go through with. For instance, like killing someone with a pane glass window, or at least fucking their face up really bad. We'll use Jigsaw as an instance here. Frank fucks that man up because he's a bad guy. He does things that other people aren't willing to do because he knows that, as the saying goes, when you kill a killer, the number of killers in the world stays the same. But he understands that that's a law of statistics. If you start killing more killers, it goes down. And while we can't condone or outwardly do this kind of stuff ourselves, we appreciate what he's trying to achieve. And the anti-hero plays a very important role in understanding human psychology, in the fact that it's a part of ourselves that each of us has, but none of us, hopefully, are willing to act on in a real life scenario. And
that's what the fantasy element is.
Yeah, and it allows us to explore the darker sides of ourselves without actually having to go out and commit to actions that are dangerous, violent, immoral, if you will, stuff like that. So,
I mean, it's like playing video games. You're not going to do any of that shit in real life. I can't Assassin's Creed everything, but it's fun to hop around and
it's escapism, and it allows you to connect with a part of yourself that has to be fed. Most people don't think about this. It has to be fed. You have very basic animalistic drives. Sex and violence are two of those, and they need to be fed, preferably in a healthy way. Of course, feeding violence in a healthy way is a very debated topic, but video games, movies,
comic
books,
boxing,
stuff like that. You can do it in real life. You can MMA, you can take up boxing, you can take up fencing, whatever you want. But it's applying that stuff in real life settings, typically not the greatest idea.
Yep.
So, but ladies and gentlemen, we are past the hour mark, and we are going to go ahead and wind down now. So real quick, Sean, tell everybody where to find you and what you got going on.
Right now, my main focus is on escaping the Matrix. You can find me on Rumble, BitChute, Brighteon, and Odyssey. I delve into philosophical and political subjects. My drive with that is to deliver truth and try to push for a better society for us all. I know that sounds very self-righteous, but I'm someone who's very disheartened and pissed off at the way the world's going, and I just want to do my part. So if you can at least take the time to check it out, you may disagree with it, but as I say in my videos, like and subscribe is a choice I leave to you. I like to remind people that they have choice. If we can get people back in touch with that, maybe things will change for the better. Thank you.
Hell yeah. So, No Green Rocks. What's
yes,
up?
I am Superman if he wasn't scared of green rocks, or No Green Rocks for short, leader, creator, and founder of the Legion of Memers. You can find us on YouTube, Kick, Instagram, and Twitter. I think, hopefully I listed all of them. But go check out our channel because we have some great guests. Cory was one of them. And we're very, very close to monetization on our channel with the new YouTube rules. So it would be awesome if you could help us get there. And I appreciate all of you and enjoy the memes.
I guess I haven't been paying attention. I didn't know they had new rules for monetization. Now I have to learn more.
Yeah, it's like you can get super chat subscribers and all that jazz now.
Okay, I will have to go and read some more policy. Yay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, since this is the end of the show, I'll do my normal spiel. Make sure you catch me tonight on Yelling at Parked Cars over on Comics Division's channel. We have the lovely Magitech Mags as a guest tonight. We don't have topics yet because the other Dix Division guys have like regular lives and stuff, and they work on Monday mornings, I guess. So, adulting.
How dare
Who does
they?
That? Who does that? But anyway, I will be doing... I know I said this yesterday, but it's true tonight. I will be doing the second hour of my first impressions of Hogwarts Legacy tonight on TalksALot Gaming over on Twitch. So make sure you go and follow that on Twitch. I'm also doing Frank Lee Odd Adventures, declassified adventures, actually. Today, this one's called Operation Boar Hunt. I record it live on Twitch, and then I cut it down and redub some shit for the YouTube side. So make sure you're subscribed to all that. I am open for guest appearances this week for anyone who would like to have me on, who's watching this. That includes No Green Rocks, Ryan Roger Athay, anyone watching. I am available if you want me on your show. That's fine. But to touch on something else, we are currently running the Ko-Fi campaign over at the Sir TalksALot Ko-Fi page to get some new equipment. We've got a $180 goal to get some lapel mics so we can do frankly live action in the forest without having to rely on smartphones.
Oh,
and
that's
stuff
really
like
cool.
That. We're also it'll also help with our unboxings, so I don't have to do it in my shitty little studio here. You actually do it in a bigger space. And like I said, it's $180. If you cannot donate right now, do not donate right now. It is totally fine. We are in a fucking recession, ladies and gentlemen. So I get it. If you can't donate, then don't. But if you can, any number helps. It'll go towards getting us that equipment. There will be other campaigns that pop up during the next month or so for more equipment, but it's all aimed towards having Frank Lee filmed in the mountains and in swamps and in deserts and wherever the fuck else we can find to make Frank look like a boob. It'll be a great time. But
if you can't donate, there's a great way to help out too. It's by sharing.
Yeah, please share the stream, share the link to the Ko-Fi, let everybody know what we're doing. As you guys know, or at least I hope you know, as it's been since I started the channel, I'm not allowed to spend money on the YouTube channel. These are my wife's rules, by the way, unless I make money on the YouTube channel. So if you guys donate, then it can go to new equipment. Yeah, I think that's it. Like, subscribe, share, make sure you get this out there. Follow me on Rumble. Make sure you're subscribed to No Green Rocks, Sean over on Escaping the Matrix. Make sure you're subscribed to Ryan Roger Athay, and just to fuck with him, click on Vince Womack's name and subscribe to him. Yep, just like that. And I will see you guys tonight on Yelling at Parked Cars. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, stay sexy, don't get murdered, and as always, have a wonderful time.